Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. The quarterfinals came to a conclusion when England faced Ukraine in Rome. Ukraine managed to scrape through against Sweden, whilst England have been effective but not entertaining. But all that changed in this match when England put 4 past Ukraine, courtesy of a Kane double, Maguire and Henderson. The XG showed that England were clinical at one end whilst keeping the door firmly shut at the other. But what tactics did Southgate and Shevchenko use? In this video we take a look. Here's a reminder of the 11s both managers selected for this quarter-final clash, as you can see on the OneFootball app. OneFootball is sponsoring today's video, and they are the best football app around, as you can get pre-match formations like this, in-game stats, notifications and so much more. And the best part is you can get it completely free through the link in the description below. But that's not all they give you. They have introduced a special Euro 2020 section, so you can easily keep up with breaking news about your favorite teams, players and so much more. So hit the link down below if you want to download OneFootball for free. Let's start with England in possession. Ukraine generally weren't looking to press high up the pitch, instead happy to sit in a deeper 5-3-2, so this would give England centre-backs more time on the ball. And the 5-3-2 meant that the centre of the pitch would be well fortified by Ukraine, making it difficult to progress through the centre. But generally, England have been happy to use the flanks at this tournament, as they did today. This meant that the fullbacks were crucial to the attack, with Shaw always pushing up on the left-hand side, often beyond Sterling. But on the right-hand side they had more variation. As Ukraine could potentially press with their front two to make it a 2 versus 2, Rice would be happy to drop into the backline to make it a 3, and Phillips would then be the solitary pivot. In these situations, Sancho would move infield to then allow Walker to provide the width on the outside. But Rice could also step into the midfield, with Walker in this position, almost a right centre-back, whilst also being able to be a second pivot in the midfield. And in these scenarios, Sancho would stay wider and Phillips generally had more freedom to join the front line. And the goal of this was similar. With 3 centre-backs and 3 central midfielders, Ukraine made it difficult to move through the centre. So, instead, England would look to overload the backline by creating either a 6 versus 5 high up or at worst a 5 versus 5. As a result, their tricky wingers will be able to get many 1 versus 1 situations against the wingbacks or wider centre backs and could take them on, completing 4 and 3 dribbles each. And one of the ways England would take advantage of the wider regions was by using overloads on either side, and Kane and Mount were vital to this, willing to shift to either side to drag the defence in that direction. And once again, the 6 versus 5 would mean that the far side wingback could be dragged infield. This would then subsequently allow the switch to come in. But down the left, the combination of Shaw and Sterling caused havoc, with Sterling often able to drop deeper to collect as the wide regions were easier to access. And if the wingback followed him into deeper regions, Shaw would then have more space to attack. And we see this combination for the first goal. Ukraine's 5-3-2 protects the centre, so England opt to go wide. And we see England forming a front 5 against the back 5. Sterling draws the wingback and Shaw makes a run into the space, and this draws Ukraine's centre-back across, and Sterling is able to beat his man. Shaw's run had created a gap in the defence through which Sterling is able to feed a pass to Kane for the finish. When Ukraine switched to a back 4, this problem was exacerbated, as Yarmolenko could be slow to track back, and as a result, Shaw and Sterling would be able to create 2 versus 1s against Karavayev higher up the pitch. But what happened when Ukraine were in possession? Ukraine were also able to come through the first phase easily, as with the early lead, England didn't have to press that high up. Instead, they often defended in a lopsided 4-4-2, with Sterling tucked in off the left-hand side and Mount higher. And early on, Ukraine would push Zinchenko high up into the half space on the left, whilst Yarmolenko would drift into the half space on the right. And with both fullbacks wide, Ukraine were looking to create a 5 versus 4 against England's backline. But because rather than pressing the centre backs, the forwards were covering the midfield pivots, it would allow Rice and Phillips to stay deeper and assist the defence by covering these men in the half spaces. But England could look to press higher up, and Sterling from this position can easily move on to a centre back to create a 3 versus 3, and in these situations, Sancho would often press higher up on the right. And Mount from the attacking midfield position could then move on to a pivot, joined by Rice. And as Zinchenko had stayed higher, Phillips would then be in a great position deeper to cover. But high up the pitch, Ukraine got into great positions down their preferred left-hand side. And this is because particularly after switching to a back four, England would have the 2 versus 2 out wide. But Sancho could be slow to track back, or be drawn into more central regions. And Zinchenko, rather than remaining central, moved high up into the half space behind Phillips, so that there would be a 2 versus 1 down this left hand side. And this could even become a 3 versus 1 with the advancing fullback if Sancho was slow to track back, so Ukraine could then look to find the third man run. But ironically, this is where England's third goal comes from. Sancho is too narrow and Zinchenko is high, ready to create the 2 versus 1 against Walker, whilst the fullback is also free. But this time, Sancho manages to intercept, beginning the counter-attack, and Mount from his position as a second forward can receive centrally. Sterling, defending higher and more central, puts him in a great position to then receive wide. Shaw overlaps as he did so frequently in this match, and finds Kane expertly. Overall, it was a well-deserved win, although expected, for England, with Ukraine's deep run coming to an end. England may have a manageable draw, but I want you to comment down below whether you think they can really go all the way. And of course, note anything else that you noticed tactically down below. You may also want to watch this video to see how England went from producing average talent after their golden generation to having several genuine world-class talents. A quick shout out to my Patreons for helping to make this video possible. If you want to support, head on over to patreon.com/footballmadesimple and you'll get rewards like early access to videos and exclusive content. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.